One of the ways you do that is you increase our foreign trade, because we need more customers for our goods and services. And so global trade is a very big part of the solution. And unfortunately, some of this administration's policies, like walking away from TPP, which was designed to help America compete in the world, has now been stopped, and everything is going in the other direction. We are hurting ourselves by walking away from the solution to our problem of creating jobs. We have some other questions? Yes, Ms.
Beyond this funding, can you talk about what you might be doing in D.C. during this trip, or just in general with regard to outreach to this administration? Are you reaching out to the president? Have you been able to have conversations about this with him or through it or others?
I have not personally. I assume plenty of others have. I did talk to the president once. He was nice enough to want to have a conversation after he got elected. I congratulated him. He asked my advice on a couple of things of how he should attract people, and I told him my advice, and after that, he's gone on his business, and I've gone about my business. Yes, sir.
This question comes from Facebook Live, Jericho's Facebook page, with Trevor McCloskey. What can the average American do to help move us forward to a cleaner energy economy?
Well, the average American has a lot to do with our situation. The average American uses energy. So if you want to stop the pollution that is generated when you create energy from fossil fuels, reduce your energy usage. Go to LEDs instead of incandescent bulbs. Buy cars that get a lot more mileage per gallon. I saw this story in the paper today. China is trying to go all electronic in all of their automobiles. That's their objective over the next decade. Think about that. We're not going as fast as they're going. But the average American can paint their roofs white if it's a flat roof and reflect the sun off. That will reduce their energy costs, will decrease their energy bills right away. I was about 10 years ago on the roof of a building in Queens or Brooklyn with Al Gore. We painted the roof white, and everybody laughed at me, and I was on the front page of the paper, dressed as a clown, as I remember. Today, if you fly in and out of New York or go over a bridge and look down, you will see virtually every roof that's flat in the entire city has been painted white. Why? Because you paint it white and your energy bills go down 25% overnight. So the public can do a lot of these things. You can have gardens that will keep water from running off. There are a whole bunch of things. And the thing that you can do also is call your local elected officials and say, I want help. That coal-fired power plant upstream is spewing stuff into the air. My kids are breathing that air. I'm drinking the water that's being polluted. I don't want to do this, and I've elected you to take care of me. You can do the same thing at the federal level and at the state level. But the truth of the matter is, and this is said from a previous mayor, so I'm a little bit conflicted here, but that's where it's easier for you to get to the elected official and to hold that elected official responsible. And when you vote, pick up the phone, call the congressman and say, look, I see you're up there not helping me improve my the air that I'm breathing. What on earth are you going to do? I'm going to vote for your opponent. And that'll get their attention. It really will.
Mr. Mayor, can I add something
yes.
on that front?
You can keep going.
From the League of Conservation Voters, we would just say, please vote. Take the time to become informed about who represents you and vote. We publish an annual scorecard on every member of the United States Senate and the Congress. You can see how they're voting. You can see who's good. You can see who's bad. Very important.
Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I'll say there's 4 things that everyday Americans can do on any issue. They can act as consumers, as you heard from Mr. Bloomberg. They can act as voters, as you heard from Carol. They can act as investors. You don't have to be a billionaire, but if you have a credit card, if you have a debit card, you can align your money with your values. And they can act as citizens to make sure that other policymakers are doing the right thing as a consumer, as an investor, as a voter, and as a citizen every time.
Yes, Miss.
Of the 250 or so power plants that have been retired or will be retired, what are they largely being replaced with? And Mr. Mayor, do you have a preference what you would like to see them replaced with in the future?
Well, the ultimate objective would be to have totally non-polluting sources of energy. Hydro is totally non-polluting, solar and wind. But the thing right now that most of those coal-fired power plants are being replaced with is natural gas, which is still a fossil fuel, not perfect, but dramatically better than coal. And so if that's a step on the right direction, it's a good step. In Texas, the cost of renewable energy now is 1/3 the cost of coal. Think about that. 2/3 of the costs have been taken away. That helps the Texas economy, it cleans the air, and it's from a state where the former governor, who is now a secretary, says that nobody cares about coal, just burn it, don't worry about it, we should continue to pollute. The public is voting with their feet. They're voting in Texas and they're voting in Oklahoma, where another cabinet officer comes from with exactly the same thing. One more question. We haven't. Yes, miss.
Do you see, as these coal plants are being replaced with gas plants, do you see in the future, say 30 years down the line, we'll have succeeded in getting rid of the coal plants, but we'll be in a very similar situation with lower baseline levels of emissions, saying what are we going to do about all these gas plants?
I think if there's anything that you can see out of this, it is that it's what Bill Clinton would have said, it's the economic stupid. The truth of the matter is the real reason we're winning the battle is through information and through lobbying and protesting and whatever, but it is economically in your interest to go towards renewables. And that's what we're going to find out. And you see big major power companies who are planning to get all of their energy from renewables. And this is not just the pie in the sky down the road. Solar and wind today is 1/3 the cost in many places of coal. And the technologies there are just starting to improve. So you can certainly expect every day the technologies in these things get better. And there's just, you're not going to stop that. People want to have lower energy costs and people want to have cleaner air. And they're the ones that are voting with their feet as well as hopefully going to the ballot box and voting, as Carol said. Thank you all. I just wanted to say that I think the Sierra Club and the League of Conservation Voters are just two organizations that I have always, I don't know, envied isn't quite the right word, but been enamored with. I think you guys are doing a lot. You're doing things for me and my family. You're doing things for my friends. You're doing things for my fellow citizens and for the rest of the people in the world. You're a good role model for a lot of things. If we get more people to vote, to do what you're doing and lots of other problems we have, we'll be a better country and a better world. Thank you.
Thank you.
News media. So that's why we're talking, right? News media, radio, all of you are getting this message out for us, and that's why we're going to keep doing these. So we want people to listen to the radio, pay attention to the cell phones, get on the internet, go to the web pages, use them all so you don't miss the pieces.
Is there anything being done to temporarily get cell service back up?
Oh, the cell companies are working hard to put everything back together, yeah. I was at what they call a cooperators briefing yesterday. Really impressed with PG&E, the cell companies, everybody coming in trying to restore stuff. PG&E's in Larkfield right now trying to shut off wires and everything. The infrastructure and the amount of agencies out here working on things like that behind the scenes while it's going is just incredible. There's also, they're bringing in the National Guard brought in, I can't even explain it, but it's a satellite phone system we can make calls where people can call their loved ones basically from a truck with phones we can hand them. So there's a lot of communication things coming into the county. So piece by piece, we're putting that together.
Are you turning people away who are trying to come back to their neighborhoods just to grab items?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't stress this enough. If you're in an evacuation zone, you cannot come home. We are not letting anybody into any of the neighborhoods that have been evacuated or burned. They're all sealed off. We have had very few problems with looters. We made an arrest last night and 2 arrests the night before. They weren't arrested for looting, but we suspect they were. They're arrested for warrants and for violating our curfew. So, so far it's been, that problem has not been huge for us, which is great. Keep in mind there's 100 deputies working right now. Sheriff's office deputies, there's usually 30. And there's 213 other law enforcement officers on at any given time in this area right now. So there's 300 deputies out there patrolling these areas and evacuating people.
Back on the early warning system, I know when there's an Amber Alert that gets out, that's not an opt-in. I mean, I get that. Everyone gets those when an Amber Alert. Why can't something like that be put in place for some?
I actually don't even understand the difference between an Amber Alert, and I don't know that an Amber Alert isn't an opt-in because I don't think I get it on my cell phone. So that's a great question, just don't know the answer to it, but I will tell you that the landline switch to cell phones everybody's made has been a little different. We had great systems to call landlines. Cell phones are changing the game a little bit.
Well, despite that, do you think that, I mean, are you satisfied with the way the system works in this instance? Do you think it could have been better?
Oh, so far, I think communication's been excellent. But all the reports I've got is good communication with cells and everybody else. People were getting the stuff. The fire was in the middle of the night.
Right.
I don't know I don't know how effective that was. It's going to take a long time until we understand that and talking to people. But absolutely something to be looked into to make sure.
When do you think people will be able to go back to burned out neighborhoods that are no longer, the
Yeah.
fuel's gone, it's been burned out?
So here's what's really interesting. The burned out area, no fuel, everything's fine. I was up in Larfield myself yesterday, and people up there, I can see everything. I can go in. Why can't I go in, right? That fire, I was up in Larkfield myself at 4 in the afternoon yesterday. I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, all the deputies start coming up Code 3, and I watched the hill go up in smoke right behind me on Fott Road, and they're doing emergency evacuations off Fott Road, and that is like 100 yards from the police. People are standing going, look, my house is fine. I can go in there. So it's not opening. I don't even imagine it opening this week. It's going to take a long time to get through this. Today's conditions are what we're waiting for now.
When it starts to get windy later today, what are the neighborhoods that you're most concerned about?
All right, guys, we're going to bring back into the studio. Hey, welcome to the show, and thanks for watching us. Okay, we got to talk about Eminem today because it's a super hot topic, guys. He basically released this freestyle rap, a full verse that everyone is talking about. It's taking Twitter by storm, taking social media by storm. And we got to talk about it too because we're definitely in that fan group or in the old kind of era of Eminem. I'm here with Terrence. You guys know him. T is here to chat about this hot topic. And let me quickly bring up a pic. So this is sort of like a screenshot from this video. And essentially, he came out with a pretty anti-Trump freestyle with all his internal rhyme scheme and all his normal stuff.
First of all, I want to say this. Eminem with facial hair. That's a new look.
I thought so too. That's a really, really good point.
He doesn't usually have facial
I
hair.
thought so too. And actually, when this dropped, I was watching it and I was like, I know it's his voice, but I was like, is this him? So we can. I'm actually gonna just play it in the background from BET's tweet about it, and you can kind of see. So let's take it like this. This was their tweet, and there we are in the corner. In full verse that everyone's talking about, and it just lays into Trump.
So I heard it this morning for the first time, and yeah. He hit every single angle you possibly can at Trump, even clarifying that he's not disrespecting the military with the whole NFL kneeling, blah, 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 all that.
All the NFL stuff.
Yeah, he went in, he touched every single topic, and especially told us how he feels about Trump personally.
And so true about the facial hair too, like that really threw me for a second because the thing is this, he's dropping a new album in November, and so this sort of precedes that, and people are wondering, is this...
This is after he dropped Marshall Mathers LP Part 2, so this is going to be his next album is probably going to be somewhere on par with that. I'm a big fan of Eminem's classic work.
Old stuff.
Back when he had blonde hair, when he bleached his hair.
That's what I remember him as. He's darker now.
Yeah, after he came out, I think after after the Relapse album, which came out in 2012, I think that's when he started going back to his natural hair color. It's darker, but it's like he comes out every era looking different with different type of music.
Yeah.
Like he's constantly changing.
And you can see why I brought T here to talk about this because you obviously know like his phases and sort of his work, and I can go way back to his original stuff and sort of know that. Like I'm talking like high school era for me to know sort of him. But this you can see here, back to sort of his style. I mean he's in his style, but the whole thing is everyone's talking about this. It's super. Every single word is bashing essentially the president.
He's brought lots of awareness actually to this, mostly to the hip hop community though. I'm not sure who else was watching the BET Hip Hop Awards to witness.
Yeah, it, but, I only saw it here on Twitter actually, but
Eminem is world famous. He's internationally known, so this will definitely. He's definitely using his platform to express how he feels.
He totally is. And he mentions, of course, the NFL protests and this and the gun control stuff and relevant recent events, of course, to sort of highlight in his opinion, in his writing and thoughts that this is sort of being overshadowed by, or Trump is rather overshadowing sort of his own problems and whatnot because of these issues. And it's an interesting listen. It's obviously very vulgar in his style.
He straight killed it. He the freestyle was crucial. He didn't even need a beat for the freestyle. He just went in.
He didn't take the beat. That's right.
Went in like he does. That's
yeah.
what he does.
Let us know if you guys are fans or if what you guys think, or if you guys saw this. Like I saw it late last night I was literally in bed. I was like scrolling Twitter, and everyone started posting this. And I was like, all right, I gotta watch this. You know, I know his stuff, and you know, I haven't seen him sort of out there lately.
Yeah, I mean, you know, last time he came around was I think a couple of years ago. And yeah, you know, I'm sure Eminem has sold out shows and all that, but he has a big interest in politics. You can tell. I mean, back when
I didn't know
with the Mosh Bush, during the President Bush era, he came out with a song basically against President Bush at the time.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
And even Bill Clinton, he rapped about Bill Clinton playing the sax.
Wow, that's right. He's a line in something, right?
So yeah, he's definitely got something for every president.
I forgot, and I thought that was just his know-how. You know, he knows the relevant events. He always throws them into his songs. I think it's really interesting how he does that. But this one particularly was sort of head-on, straight-on, all of it, all-consuming about the issues of today and the president.
And he gave a shout out to Colin Kaepernick at the end.
Oh yeah, so he mentions that, right? He did a little shout, and you just saw that.
With the fist up.
Yeah, so there we go with one more screenshot from that. There he is, kind of right in the camera, and it's a direct into the camera, like in this parking garage look.
With the classic Chevys in the back, like it's.
I didn't even notice all the details. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, let us know what you guys think. It's sort of a hot topic. People are, you know, having different opinions of it, and it's in true Eminem style. I mean, we can say that.
Yeah,
it's sort of it's very him. But anyway, guys, so that's what we got going on that's a chatter, I guess, of today, and then T's kind of hanging out with us in the digital newsroom. We're getting ready for Game 4 of the Nationals tonight.
Oh yeah, the Nationals are going to play. Their game got postponed.
It got postponed, and now it's on tonight at 4 o'clock, so a little earlier than it was going to be yesterday. And actually, we have a Fox 5 employee in Chicago. We're going to try to Skype him in and just get a little bit of his perspective, what it's been like around. He went to Wrigley Field for Game 3 and has been there through the rain delay yesterday and through into what will be today, Game 4, dropping down. Are you going to watch them?
Game 4, yeah. I'm definitely going to watch. Very excited about this.
Same.
The last game was a very close game. Game 2, right?
Last game was 3.
The one at Nats.
Oh, the one at Nats was 2. Yeah. The one at 2 was 2 that they won. That Nationals won.
Yeah, and then so the Cubs won 2-1 in the last game, and that was a very, very close game. I was watching the entire game.
On Game 2. That was that Saturday night.
Yeah. No, not Saturday. I'm sorry. Earlier this week on Monday's game.
Oh right, okay. Then that was 3.
Yeah. So the Cubs won really close. It was a very close matchup, 1-2. I think this is an excellent series. I love this series.
I'm fixing the camera.
It seems like the Nationals make it to the playoffs every year. Go so far.
It does for DC people, right? I've been here long enough to see everybody get really excited and then go far and then kind of blow it. So
same thing with the Capitals too, but they got the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I know.
That's a whole
Pittsburgh Penguins who were at the White House yesterday. President Trump greeted them and honored them in a ceremony like he does to all the winning, like Stanley Cup, obviously football, baseball, whatever.
Okay.
So much controversy with that though, because remember Steph Curry was like, "I'm not coming."
Exactly, and that's what started the whole NFL kneeling thing. Well, it didn't start it, but after LeBron James had backed Steph Curry up, that's when all the other athletes were going towards.
That's right.
Speaking out towards Trump.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. So guys, we're calling Rob Lynch right now. We're going to see if he picks up. He's in Chicago, and we're going to see if we can get him on to kind of talk what we're talking about. We'll see if he picks up now. But anyway, for now we're gearing up for the game, and I'm getting excited for it.
It's going to be a good game. Yeah. Harper, Zimmerman hit the
blast
in the game winner one for game
2 on Saturday night.
Yeah, that was incredible. So I'm hoping these guys will be ready for the game today. Is it going to be raining today?
That's the thing. I think. Oops, I'm just make sure he's calling. I think it's possible of scattered, but I think it's more probable that they're okay and that they will play.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm just checking. Anyway, guys, while you are chilling, you're looking at a live look at our digital newsroom here inside the studio, inside our newsroom on this Wednesday the 11th.
Yeah.
It's 10:11. Let us know where you're watching from, guys, and what you think about the Nationals while we try to get Rob on Skype. We're going to see if he can jump in with us.
Steven Strasburg is supposed to start for.
So they
Game 4.
just announced that.
Yep.
It was just minutes ago. There was controversy with that too.
Yeah, he's gonna be on point. It's just been a roller coaster the last couple hours with the Nationals, with all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like I said, it just kind of came up on Twitter that
So Strasburg is gonna play,
he
but
will.
he's still feeling, I guess,
Yeah.
sick or
Yeah, which some people didn't think was true, some people did, so you're going to believe what you want to believe. Anyway, I think we're getting Rob on Skype. There he is. Let's take him. Hey, Rob.
You see me?
I see you. What's up? You're live.
I am live.
You're live.
So I am live in a very dreary Chicago.
Great view. Thanks for that. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Right on the river.
Which is right by the water.
Yeah.
And I am deciding if I'm going to...
You're deciding.
We are waiting for
Wait
all
one
House
second.
members to get a briefing on the recovery efforts following Hurricane Maria.
All right, Rob. So show us. Wait, you're deciding. I got you up. All right. You're deciding if you're going to go to the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's only standing room only.
Oh.
And they're available for $75.
Okay, that's
I
reasonable.
don't think I want to stand. Okay, so I went to Monday's game.
Mm-hmm.
In 4 sections, it was sea blue. There was no Nats fans. It was me and some dude I saw way down the way.
Okay.
And I waved at him. I kept waving at him because it was it. It was all Cubs fans. So I don't know if I can stand at the back with a bunch of Cubs fans cheering me every pitch. So
Right.
I'm probably not. I'll probably end up watching it here at a restaurant or something around here. There's a lot of good restaurants in Chicago.
I know, totally. And you're a big foodie like we are too. So
Some deep dish pizza for us.
He did. You did the pizza. You did the meat yesterday.
I tell you what, I am a thin crust. I do not like deep dish pizza.
It's really.
I don't.
I'm not used to it either. It's a lot.
I love it.
I had parents from New Jersey. I'm used to thin pizza, and I just can't. I just can't do it.
I feel you. I feel you on that one. So really quick, I want to know about what the vibe was sort of in the city yesterday when everything was like everyone was gearing up and then suddenly rained out.
Yeah, I actually was gonna watch it at a Trudeau, which is an Irish bar, which I frequent in DC. So there's one here. So I stayed there to watch some of the World Cup qualifying and the game. And it kept saying it was in delay, and I kept looking outside, saying I don't see any wipers. It's not raining. But I guess the rain came in off of Lake Michigan and hit the stadium first, and then I saw the rain come down. It was raining hard. So it's supposed to be cleared up. I mean, it stopped raining. You can see out here, there's a barge going by.
Yeah, it looks good.
Wow.
Yeah, so it looks like everything stopped raining, and it's just overcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then you heard they're pulling Roark for Strasburg, which is interesting to me.
We just saw that. Yeah. Last
Yeah,
second.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What was?
I don't know how I feel.
Yeah.
I feel about it.
Did you kind of catch
Roark,
what the sentiment was, sort of with the fans? I mean, you said it's mostly Cubs fans that you were around, but were there other people kind of in your,
Yeah, I'll say this about Chicago. I love Chicago, and I love the food. I love the people. It's a big city, but it's got that Midwest sensibility to it.
Mhm.
So as much as I love my Manhattan, not as much. The niceties aren't. So I will say everything around Wrigley Field is been there forever, and it's all bars, and people were jeering a little bit, but they were nothing mean, or I never felt like I was in any kind of danger. I love it around here. So
Yeah.
it was just very competitive cheering going on.
And how cool is Wrigleyville? I mean, Wrigley Field is so cool. It's so
Yeah.
historical.
I don't know if you saw my Facebook page, but I had it's just the history.
Yeah.
And it's and they do it right. I mean, it's right in the middle of a neighborhood, and everybody's around it, and
Mhm.
it's just a very good vibe. I really liked it a lot. And again, Everybody was mostly kind. I mean, people in my section were giving me all kinds of grief, but it was fun. It was fun. There was I'll say this, a bunch of older Italian ladies.
Aww.
Half Italian and half Irish. So it reminded me of my cousins and my grandmother and my mom. They were just giving it to me. Giving me the business, I call it. They're giving me the business.
That's funny. You guys,
awesome.
Okay. And then it was cool to see Bill Murray do the seventh inning.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And so I couldn't see it. We were underneath the overhang. I couldn't hear, but I could hear it and I could see it on the monitor. So
Yeah. That's so great. So awesome that you went. And so you're kind of debating what to do tonight, but you think you're going to stay in.
I'm going to probably go downstairs and get something to eat around here, and then maybe I'll just feel the vibe. And a lot of times you go into these restaurants and people have tickets, they just can't go. So
Really? Yeah.
Once they give me a ticket, I'll go.
That could be cool. That would work. Right. What do you think? Okay, what are your thoughts about tonight? Any premonitions?
I think God intervened, and I think they were on a roll. I think this stopping the momentum of that team is going to work in our favor. I predict we're going to win this game. It's going to come back, and I predict we're going to win that game, and we're going to win 2 in a row.
Nice. Now, okay, tell me this. The rain delay didn't make you stay another day, right? You were already going to stay there?
I was already staying. I'm here with my girlfriend. She's at a conference, so we were leaving. I'm leaving tomorrow early to be there to work with you.
Yay, we'll see you.
I'm playing at 7 o'clock and come straight there.
Sounds good. We'll see you in studio tomorrow at 12:30. Don't be late.
All right, ma'am.
Okay.
You guys, see you later.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye.
Go Nats.
Go Nats. Cool. Super cool to talk to Rob in Chicago. So he works here, is an employee here, and we knew he was going to be there and wanted to check in because the rain delay, threw everybody kind of for a loop, and we were all ready to gear up for Watch It yesterday. I was literally hustling from one thing that I do on Tuesday nights to get ready to go watch it, and now I've rearranged my plans for today, so I'm excited. But I think like the spirit of the spirit of sports gets into everybody's blood. I mean, neither of us are from. Well, I guess you're from the area, but you're.
I'm from there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess some of the people in the newsroom, right, who aren't from here, still have been Washingtonians now for a while. So we get into the excitement of playoffs because you gotta, you know.
Yeah. These are the few rare teams that actually make it to the playoffs.
I know.
Often.
Yeah, it's interesting to see them play the reigning champions too. So.
Yeah, that's another thing, and we're actually, we're not too far off. I think we're on pace with them too. Even with the 6 Strasburg, I think. That extra day probably helped. The extra day probably, I think.
Do you think there was reason that that he came back and said I'm gonna go? Do you think it was the backlash? I mean, this all just happened.
I think it was a coaching call, maybe Dusty.
Yeah, it was a management call, probably.
Yeah, he was probably just like, you gotta go.
Did you see that the Red Sox manager got fired after it was this morning? It was on Twitter. Or on the news circuit that just happened after Red Sox lost to the Astros in their division series yesterday. So they're out.
They're out completely?
They're out now, yeah. They lost in a quick series with the Astros. Manager is out. So that's the news there, but baseball stuff. I guess we'll switch it around and let T get back to whatever you're doing. Kind of keep the stuff rolling, different topics. I'm trying to listen in as we do this. Democratic members of Congress coming up next at a faith and business meeting on Capitol Hill. We might have some other faces from the newsroom join us as well to chat what they're working on today. So stay with us, guys, here on Fox 5 Live. You get a little inside look at our digital way on this Wednesday. Probably go through the early afternoon and see what happens as vis-a-vis breaking news. So let's get over to that now. All right, thanks, T.
Thank you, Bonnie.
See you next time.
Yep.
No, wait a second till we all gather. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am Chairwoman Michelle Lujan Grisham. I'm Chairwoman of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. I represent New Mexico's 1st District, and I've been in Congress since 2012. And I have to say that while two things, I'm very proud to have my colleagues joining me from a number of either immigration working groups and the minority caucuses and the Democratic caucus at large, but also some incredible organizations who have been making sure that they're watching out for families, they're watching out for dreamers. They are dreamers and representing dreamers, and but they're looking out for our economy and our best interests. And for this, I am uniquely grateful for the difference that you make, not only in the entire country, but thank you for what difference you're making in my own home state and community. And in fact, I'm going to highlight just a few. We have Network here, we have Forward here, we have We Belong Together campaign, we have United We Dream, and we have individuals who are going to talk to you about their stories. So I want to lead this, this press event with this. Look, we're clear. I thought until Sunday that we have an administration, the president, who says, we want to treat this issue with dreamers, with compassion. We want to be clear about the impact that they have on our economy and our nation. We want to treat this carefully, and I do want to do something, right, to protect dreamers. Now, I might argue today and every day, then you should not have just upended DACA while we have a legislative fix. But in fact, if this is what the president thought would motivate Congress to get their job done, Let's do that. He's then said, right, over and over and over again, that he definitely in this effort, in this legislative effort with these two branches of government working very hard to do right by dreamers and right by the American economy, both, that we ought to look at national security or border security issues. Now, you've heard from certainly the Hispanic caucus and the greater Democratic caucus that dreamers are not in and of themselves a national security issue. They are certainly not a border security issue. And we don't want to even have a conversation framework because they're not related. However, if the administration or members of Congress want to talk about meaningful ways to do more for border security, that for a state like mine would also not only provide those protections, but would also create better economic opportunity and trade, those are issues that most members of Congress would entertain having a meaningful, rational, and reasonable conversation about. Two separate issues. On Sunday, we have the White House releasing what they identify are not border security ideas or priorities, but immigration principles that are completely and holistically unrelated to the issue of dreamers and are a clear statement that this is an anti-immigration administration. That's what occurred on Sunday. In the dark of night, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put these out, and they have nothing to do with the incredible work by so many of you and so many folks represented here today to protect dreamers who, let's just remind ourselves quickly, and then I will move on. We're brought here as children who we have set an incredibly, the highest set of standards to achieve. They achieve it over and over again. 800,000 young people who are engineers and doctors and or studying to be doctors and lawyers who do military service and law enforcement. The most recent study said that if we don't do something to protect dreamers, we would lose more than 20,000 educators. Now, I can tell you in a rural, poor state like mine, this is a catastrophe. I mean, thank goodness we have such qualified, compassionate, engaged, serving their community-minded young people who are interested in preserving American values in our American communities. That's certainly something that I stand for. Today, we want to make sure that the Democratic caucus and the organizations that we are working with to protect dreamers, we stand against these anti-immigration principles, from the wall to not supporting refugee and legal immigration principles already standard in this country. We reject them all. They are not part of any negotiation between anyone and dreamers. They are not related in any way, is how we view this environment. I think it speaks volumes that we have not heard a clear rejection of these anti-immigration principles by any of our Republican colleagues in the House today. And I hope that maybe that silence is more about, it has nothing to do with dreamers, and our effort is going to continue to move forward to make sure that there is a legislative fix to protecting the 800,000 young people and others who qualify for dreamer protected status and our efforts in this country. With that, I am very proud and honored to introduce who's been championing this and got the president very directly, very specifically to say, I want something to protect dreamers. I understand the impact that dreamers have. I want to be compassionate. I'd also like you to see, because he knows when somebody can get something done around here, that where we need to do border security issues, that it'd be important that you're part of that conversation, all right? And that person is the leader of the Democratic caucus, who also soundly rejects, not that I'm doing your speaking points, these anti-immigration principles, but you saw the statement out of leadership on Sunday. So without further ado, I get to thank and introduce our fearless leader, Leader Nancy Pelosi. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your kind words, but for your tremendous leadership, more importantly. Thank you to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus for being out there so vocally for your presentation. Laying it out enables us to speak more briefly so that we can hear from many more of our friends, because you have made the case so clearly, as has our leadership of the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, and all of the members of our caucus. It's an honor to be here with our faith-based leadership, Sister Simone and Representative Business, Todd Schulte, our special guests, our speakers who will tell their personal stories, as well as my colleagues who have been in the lead on this issue. Well, Mr. Schumer and I spoke out very forcefully and very rapidly when we saw what the administration put forward. The Trump administration's immigration, they call them principles, unprinciples. They're not principles. They're trash, are unacceptable to the dreamers and those of us who fight for them, opposed by an overwhelming majority of Americans, and anathema to our national values. Together, these brutal proposals, each one of them is horrible, but the cumulative effect of them would destroy a fundamental part of the American character, a free nation proud of an immigrant heritage. Their proposal abandons the fundamental respect for family at the heart of our faith, at the heart of who we are as Americans. Protecting our dreamers and respecting immigrant families unites us and unites the three B's: business, badges, our law enforcement friends, and Bibles, our religious friends. And every Republican president for the past 4 decades has recognized the constant reinvigoration of America. Look at Ronald Reagan. Even after Congress acted, he said, you haven't gone far enough. We're going to have family fairness. And he protected more people, he and George Herbert Walker Bush, a higher percentage of people than even Barack Obama with his initiatives. This is Ronald Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush. I'm just naming the Republicans because you know that the Democrats would be there. George W. Bush tried so hard with his own caucuses, couldn't succeed, but believed and respected and has spoken out in terms of respect for the dignity and the invigoration that immigrants bring to our country. So this president stands alone, Democratic or Republican, in modern times as being anti-immigrant. The Trump administration has, this proposal has reiterated the darkness and cruelty of the administration, their administration's immigration agenda. Now I say they've drawn a line in the sand with this. Our Republican colleagues in the House who support Dreamers, and I believe that the president does as well. He doesn't support Dreamers because Chuck and I had good table manners that night. He supports Dreamers because the American people support Dreamers. And that is why we have to go forward in a way that is a first step, that is a victory for Dreamers, and in a way that does not harm any other immigrants in our country. So that, as I say, we call upon our House Republicans respectfully, trusting in their word that they support Dreamers, that they believe in the value of immigration. The American people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, you name whatever they are, overwhelmingly oppose deporting Dreamers. House Democrats will lead the way, demanding an up or down vote, but hopefully we will be joined in that path in a very bipartisan way by our Republican colleagues. Now, in the interest of time, I will not read to you the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops' statement, but I refer it to you because it very beautifully condemns the proposal that the administration put forth. And with that, I'm very pleased to yield to a distinguished representative, a co-chair of the Women's Working Group on Immigration Reform, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal of Washington State, also speaking out for the Asian Pacific American Caucus in this way as well. Congresswoman.
Thank you so much, Leader Pelosi, for your incredible leadership. To Chair Lujan Grisham, thank you for everything that you've been doing. Also want to recognize the ranking member of the Immigration Subcommittee, Zoe Lofgren, is here, and my co-chair of the Women's Working Group on Immigration, a real champion, Lucille Roybal-Allard, is here as well and has been such a force for good on all these issues. I'm very grateful to all the groups who are here, and they've already been named, but let me tell you that nothing would happen without people across the country from all our communities speaking out about the necessity for a Clean Dream Act and for immigration reform as a whole, not for the principles that were released by the White House. After President Trump cruelly revoked the DACA program, he threw the nation into a limbo. He threw 800,000 young people across the country into a limbo. And then he said that he supported having Congress act on the DREAM Act. He sent Jeff Sessions, actually, to say that. Jeff Sessions helped lead the opposition in the U.S. Senate against the DREAM Act. And so now to come back with these principles that really reiterate the idea that dreamers are political football, that they're to be traded for something else, is simply outrageous. This cruel proposal, frankly, goes beyond some of the worst immigration bills that we have seen and is literally a love letter to white supremacists. It demands billions more for border security, tightens standards for asylum protections, cracks down on sanctuary cities, cuts off legal immigration, and significantly restricts family immigration and puts in place a faulty points-based system. This is not serious policy. And once again, this president and his advisors are playing to a shrinking minority of their base. Now, why are we showcasing women? This press conference originally was between the CHC and the Women's Working Group on Immigration, and it's because the narrative that they would like to tell is that there's a bunch of scary men scaling a border fence and they're committing all kinds of crimes across the country. That is not the reality of immigration. The reality of immigration is that 2/3 of the immigrant population in this country are women and children. So we wanted to have the opportunity to showcase moms and women who disproportionately bear the burden of a broken immigration system and are resilient and courageous survivors, taking care of our elders, our kids as primary caregivers, providing essential nursing and senior care for Americans, serving as doctors and lawyers and professionals. The administration's proposal is so bad that in a way it shows exactly what their hand is, what their end game is, which is really to end our deep history of immigration. And I can tell you, as one of about a dozen members of Congress that were born outside of the United States, an immigrant, a proud immigrant myself, that is unacceptable. Forcing dreamers to choose between staying here with absolutely no path to citizenship, by the way, in their proposal, and allowing for the deportation of their parents is outrageous and unacceptable. Let me end by saying that immigration has never been just about immigration. Immigration has always been about who we are as a country and what we're willing to stand up for. So it is a great honor now to introduce to you a wonderful member who came in with me, former police department chief in Orlando, Representative Val Demings.
Thank you to my colleague. Also, thank you to our leader as well as the chair of the Hispanic Caucus. Good afternoon, everyone. As a 27-year law enforcement officer, and certainly as a police chief, creating and maintaining safe communities was my #1 priority. Communities where people could work, live, and enjoy some rest and relaxation. Communities where tourists, we had 68 million in the Orlando area, the district where I represent, could come and relax and have some fun. Every effective law enforcement official understands that building relationships on the ground in communities is critical to reducing crime and solving crimes. Local law enforcement's message to dreamers and immigrants' families is the same as it is to all families. If you see something in your community, then we need you to say something. That's how we solve crimes and reduce crimes. We want all persons in their chosen community to feel safe and free when reporting crimes or suspicious activity. With all of the critical issues facing too many local communities today: crime, violence, hurricane relief, and recovery. As a top cop with limited resources and capacity, issues like these were my priority, and I am sure remain the top priority for law enforcement departments across the nation. Our national security as a career law enforcement officer is my #1 priority. And there are many entities that threaten it, but Dreamers are not one of them. Thank you so much. This time I believe we have Sister Simone with Network.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Deming, and for all of the leadership expressed here in the House today. I am Sister Simone Campbell. I'm the Executive Director of Network, Lobby for Catholic Social Justice, got to be known as leader of Nuns on the Bus, and I stand here today, though, as a representative of the Interfaith Immigration Coalition. We stand together with our brothers and sisters in faith to stand up and say, do not destroy our communities with fear. This may just be a negotiating tactic of the White House, but I have to say that that tactic is tearing our communities apart. At the heart of all faiths is the idea, the principle of compassion. And what compassion is empathy that leads to action. So we in the faith community are moved deeply by the stories that you will hear and the stories of so many brothers and sisters, so many members of our community who are anguished for themselves or their family. That's wrong. It's wrong in the richest nation on earth that we cannot be truthful and know how much we are indebted to the immigrant community. I myself am a granddaughter of immigrants. I knew my grandparents and what they contributed. Now, while I'm getting old, and that was a little while ago, that story continues. And so I stand here as a person of faith to say, we, people of faith, will fight for our community because our empathy for those who have come here and are contributing in such important ways, that empathy leads to action. And our action is to call, mobilize, stand up, speak out, and make sure that our voice is heard. Because no dreamer should be denied the opportunity that they have contributed to make. No dreamer should be denied the chance to live in our faith communities without fear. No dreamer should be denied, basically, the right to belong to we the people. Thank you very much. And now I get to introduce Todd Schulte, the president of Forward.
Thank you. I want to thank really just incredible champions on this issue for having us here. I also want to just personally thank all the DOC recipients who are here. I know how difficult and time this is, so thank you. And it's an honor to get to fight alongside you in this. My name is Todd Schulte. I'm the president of a bipartisan organization started by leaders in the business community from around the country to fight for immigration reform. So why are we here today? Well, we've seen immigration efforts led by Republican presidents and Democratic presidents. But what we face here is, and I will quote Senator Graham on this, a day of reckoning. There are only two paths forward for our country. Either we are going to have Republicans and Democrats come together and pass a DREAM Act, or starting on March 5th, 800,000 DACA recipients, and that's a new 1,400 DACA recipients every single day, are going to lose the benefits of this program. So what does that mean? It means they're going to lose their ability to work legally in this country. It means they're going to be all subject to immediate deportation. And it means that we as a country would be using a lot of the information they gave to us to go and find these people. These are people who came to this country at the average age of 6, and they've been here for 20 years. And they've gone to the same elementary schools and the same high schools. Many of them go to the same colleges. Some of them even serve in our military. And I'm here today because, at every major company in America, nearly every Fortune 500 company, DACA recipients are contributing. They're making companies stronger, not just for themselves and not just overall, but for all of us, people born in the United States and people who have just recently come here. So what would the impact be? The impact of, now that DACA is gone, not passing a DREAM Act would be $463 billion over the next 10 years. To put that into context, that is essentially 3/4 of what we will spend on the military alone. This is a devastating hole in our economy. And you put that in contrast to passing a DREAM Act would add $260 billion to the economy. But past the economic impact here, and past the devastation that at every company in America would be like to rip people out of the workforce, there is no issue that unites Republicans and Democrats as much as this. If you look at every single public poll that has come out, and I'll just give you the Fox News poll, not only do 86% of Americans, according to Fox News, think that Dreamers should be able to stay and earn citizenship, but 80% of Republicans do that. This is the biggest issue that unites our country, quite frankly. And this is an issue where there are lots of things we need to fix with our immigration system. We all agree on that. But we need to start here with this one thing. And it is an honor to be here. And again, I will just stress, this is it. There is only two paths where this will go. Either we will get this done, and it will not be everything. It is not everything that we want in immigration reform, okay? But we'll either get this done or there will be these devastating consequences. And so, on behalf of we recently worked with nearly 900 business leaders from around the country, from companies at places like GM, Coca-Cola, Boeing, Facebook, manufacturing giants in the Midwest. It's an honor to get to be here, and we're going to keep fighting for a DREAM Act. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lincoln Mendoza and thank you for being here. So.
Good afternoon. My name is Lenka Mendoza. Vivo en este país desde hace 17 años.
I've been living in this country for 17 years.
Estoy aquí representando a mis hijos que tienen DACA, a mi hija que es ciudadana estadounidense.
I am here representing my two sons who have DACA and my daughter who is fortunately a U.S. citizen.
Y a todas las madres inmigrantes que como yo no vamos a permitir que el gobierno acabe con los sueños de nuestros hijos e hijas mientras intentan separar a nuestras familias.
And I'm here representing all the immigrant mothers that, like myself, will not allow the government to tear down our sons and daughters' dreams while they try to separate our families.
Muchos creen que terminar DACA o aprobar el Green Act solo afecta a los jóvenes, pero no es cierto.
Many think that ending DACA or approving the DREAM Act will only affect young people, but this is not true.
Es algo que afecta a nosotras las madres, a nuestras familias y a toda nuestra comunidad.
This is something that affects all of us, mothers, our families, and all of our communities.
Desde que aprobaron DACA hace 5 años, nuestras vidas cambió.
Since they approved DACA 5 years ago, our lives changed completely.
DACA les dio la oportunidad a mis hijos de estudiar, trabajar, de crecer y de lograr sus sueños.
DACA gave my children the opportunity to study, to work, to grow, and to achieve their dreams.
Y a mí como madre me dio la tranquilidad de poder dormir mientras ellos salían y no tener miedo.
And for me as a mother, it gave me the opportunity to be able to sleep at peace when they were out.
Mientras yo trabajo duro para mantener nuestro hogar, ellos salen muy temprano en la mañana para trabajar, poder pagar sus estudios y comprar sus libros.
While I work cleaning houses to maintain our home, they work from sundown to sunup to be able to pay for their night classes and buy their books.
Hoy el futuro de mis hijos está en manos del Congreso.
Today, the future of my sons is in the hands of Congress.
Nuestros congresistas tienen la oportunidad de aprobar un DREAM Act que proteja a 800,000 jóvenes.
Our Congress members have the opportunity to pass a clean DREAM Act that will protect more than 800,000 young people.
Que con mis hijos quedarían en el limbo, sin papeles, sin trabajos, sin sueños y con una carrera medio terminada.
That as my sons would end up in limbo, without papers, without work, without their dreams, and with their career halfway done.
Al presidente no le importan nuestros hijos, nuestras familias.
The president doesn't care about our children and our families.
Las supuestas prioridades de Trump y su gobierno no son más que una agenda antimigrante y de supremacía blanca que no soluciona nada.
Trump and his government's supposed priorities are nothing else but an anti-immigrant and white supremacist agenda that don't solve anything.
El Congreso puede solucionar hoy la situación de nuestros jóvenes sin utilizarlos como excusa para deportar a sus madres.
Congress can solve today the young people's situation without using them as an excuse to deport their mothers.
O para gastar más dinero en la frontera aterrorizando a los pueblos fronterizos.
Or spending more money terrorizing people that live in the border.
Mr. President, members of the Congress, dreamers and families, with their hard work, dedication, and contribution, also made American great. Need approved 3-night clean. Assume, not next month, not next year. Now, need clean 3 now. Thank you.
The members of Congress wanted to make sure that we all knew that they will be back. They had to go vote. They're doing their work. And now we have Ingrid Vodka, who's going to share her story.
My name is Ingrid Vodka. I was born in the wonderful city of La Paz in Bolivia. I am a mother and I am an activist who is here today to ask members of Congress to pass a Clean Dream Act for my sons and my community. I migrated to this beautiful country in 2000, 17 years ago, full of dreams with my 2 treasures, my sons, Diego and Gustavo. I started organizing in Maryland when I was stopped from getting a driver's license. For an undocumented immigrant not having a driver's license cuts our legs, and you cannot work, you cannot take your children to school or the doctors. Immigrants in Maryland, many of us mothers fought hard at the Maryland House and we won. However, when my sons Diego and Gustavo were applying to college, we faced another nightmare, another challenge we had to overcome as a single mom. I could not afford the tuition for their schools because we would have to pay outside tuition and we couldn't receive any government help. I came to this country with dreams to protect my sons and to give them a better future. I would not let anything stand in their way. That's when I started to organize with United We Dream. I've been joining marches and actions since 2006. In 2012, we won DACA, and with DACA, I finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I saw our dreams coming true, but DACA was taken away by Trump and his racist advisors, Jeff Sessions and Stephen Miller. I am here today to say that a loving mother and a strong woman. I will continue to fight, I will resist, and I will not back down. For mothers, our kids are everything to us, and our kids need a Clean Dream Act. We will not let racist men negotiate with our kids' lives. Our kids are not games to be played with. We will not allow our families to be broken up. I will continue to march, to rally, to speak out. A mother's powers and love is stronger than the racism from the White House. Derrotados son todos aquellos que bajan los brazos y se entregan sin luchar para lograr sus sueños. Defeat are all those who lower their arms and surrender without struggling to achieve their dreams. I will not surrender. My sons and our community will not surrender. We need a clean dream act right now. Undocumented and not afraid. Mothers, I'm not afraid. Thank you. I'm sorry, but I want to introduce another champion for the Dreamers, Luis Cordorimal.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for being here, present in this very personal issue, which is my life. I am originally from Arequipa, Peru. I migrated here to the United States when I was 13 years old, and I've lived since then here in Maryland. I call this place my home because I grew up here, I graduated from high school here, and I have two lovely little siblings living in this country who are American citizens. In 2005, my parents made the ultimate sacrifice and heroically risked everything. They risked their lives to come here to the United States to seek a better life for themselves, for me, for my little sister, who at the time was 5 years old. Our family is made up of very hardworking individuals. My parents never graduated from high school back in our country, but my dad, thanks to his reading skills, he managed to learn so many trades, and he works in construction as a handyman.
On Live Channel 2, we are taking down this presser, and we are going to go to the White House, where we are awaiting.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching our stream here on Fox 5 Live. We're live in the newsroom at Fox 5 DC. We're actually just about to switch sources on this DACA Dreamers presser, so I wanted to bring you out of that. It was a press conference and a meeting there with Leader Pelosi to bring further awareness to the ongoing fight to protect Dreamers. So we heard from a lot of families who were involved and other leaders and officials who are also involved in fighting for that cause. But we're going to switch it up and go over to the White House, where the Trumps, President Trump and Melania Trump, are welcoming Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. They have a meeting with him today, and we're going to get sort of an inside look at that. Once that live camera comes up, we're going to bring you over to the White House. Looks like we're getting it up now, so we're going to bring you in there.
I'm going to switch cards for the Oval. I mean, in other words, I could either switch between. I think I want to switch because, you know, but I also have to switch color. I change color and all that stuff. So, you know, it'll be good.
Who's ever with the press, this gentleman is the last man, so you need to be on the other side of this man. Keep going.
You are watching our Fox 5 live stream here inside the DC Digital Newsroom. While we wait for this to happen, President Trump and Melania Trump are going to be greeting Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife at the White House. I'm going to actually bring up a double screen here and play out for you earlier the House GOP weekly meeting. You can see there Steve Scalise, Representative Steve Scalise. This is earlier this morning. He was the congressman who was shot at the congressional baseball game practice on June 14th. And he has a few words here from this morning. So I'll play this out as we wait for this event at the White House, and then I'll bring that up live with sound. So take a listen here to the GOP weekly address from this morning.
To wake up, go to school, sleep in a warm bed at night. There's been tremendous devastation due to hurricanes, wildfires, other events. We continue to hear the stories, and our heart goes out to so many families and people whose lives have been turned upside down. Puerto Ricans are Americans, and as Americans, we take care of our own. This island is totally devastated. And I'm pleased that the delegate from Puerto Rico, Jennifer Gonzalez, is with us today. She's been a tireless advocate and a tremendous leader as they begin a long process of rebuilding. The aid package that we're going to bring up later this week not only addresses the rebuilding in Puerto Rico and Texas and Louisiana and Florida, but also wildfires that we have seen in western states that also have provided or have been truly devastating. But as I think about all the natural disasters and the national tragedies, I find myself wanting just to share a message to everyone in this country. I'm reminded how important it is that how we treat each other, as basic as the golden rule, to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, to seek understanding in a way that helps support each other, and that happens both in times of need and celebration. Too often today, we put labels on people and we cast them aside, or even worse, we attack them, whether it's their creed, their skin color, their religion, their political views. Let's pray as a nation that each one of us will be an ambassador of peace. We are in this together as Americans. And I challenge everyone, go have coffee with someone that you don't agree with. Listen to them. Invite your neighbors in for dinner. Put the smartphone away. Be open to new ideas. We are all part of the moral fabric that holds our country together. And let's make sure that we're a part of making it strong.
First of all, I want to thank the leadership of the House, the Speaker, Majority Leader, the Whip, and the Chairwoman for allowing me during this and other conference to brief about the situation of Puerto Rico. As you may know, as today, more than 86% of our population is without power. More than 44% is without running water. The hospitals, there's 4 hospitals that are being closed. At this time, the dialysis center are operating in generators, and that means lives are at risk. We still have more than 11 bridges and roads that were completely destroyed, and we're still receiving more than 11 million meals from FEMA, 7 million liters of water, but we still have a dire situation in the island. As you may know, we've been working with the administration, with President Trump and the leadership in the House to get this supplemental that is announced today. We are pleased that there's money included there to initially manage the situation of Puerto Rico, not only the situation that the local government is facing, having no liquidity during the next weeks, and this supplemental will allow money in a loan program to get the money that is needed to continue the efforts of recovery. For that, thank you. I want to thank the leadership of the House and all the members of our conference for supporting this important measure. Same thing with the FEMA money that is being allocated. Actually, the House added $1 billion extra in that supplemental. It's not just for Puerto Rico, it's for the Virgin Islands, it's for Florida, and all the areas that are being impacted by the hurricane. I just want to tell you that it's not easy when you're used to live in an American way of life, and then somebody tell you that you're going to be without power for 6 or 8 months. It's not easy when you are continue to suffer, see the suffering of the people without food, without water, and actually living in a humanitarian crisis. We never expected that to happen to us. On September 6th, we've been hit by Hurricane Irma. Then, less than 10 days after, September 20, by Hurricane Maria, who made landfall in the island, and we still counting the fatalities as today, 45 deaths that are being counted, and the efforts continue with the federal government and the local government, and I hope this supplemental can be passed soon. And I want to thank again the leadership of the House for not only allowing me to work with them in this issue, but also visiting the island during the next days. The Speaker of the House is going to be traveling to Puerto Rico on Friday, which is important. It's not the same thing when you're hearing something or looking at the TV that actually being there, looking at the suffering, and knowing what are the mayor's or the people's questions, how the programs are functioning or not. So for that, I'm really grateful, and the people of Puerto Rico are grateful. Thank you.
Morning. When you grow up in southeast Louisiana, unfortunately, you're all too familiar with the damage that hurricanes and other storms can do. Over this last few months, we've seen a higher than normal hurricane season that's done damage throughout so many parts of this country, damaged so many of our territories. And Congress has responded. And recently, President Trump asked Congress to again address the shortfalls in the disaster relief program to make sure that FEMA and our other agencies can respond to the hurricanes that we've experienced. I've admired the work that Jennifer Gonzalez has done coming in and making sure that she's educating the rest of our leadership. She actually traveled down to Puerto Rico with the president to show him directly the damage that was done and to continue to advocate for the importance of making sure that the island is taken care of as we're dealing with the other states in Texas and Florida, fires in the West that we've seen. And so as the strains have been put on FEMA and the Disaster Relief Fund, Congress is going to continue to act this week to make sure that the resources are necessary to take care, and the Trump administration has the resources they need to continue responding to these storms.
The passion in which Jennifer comes is that she sees it directly. When you think of what has gone on in America just in the short time, the hurricanes, the fighting, the deaths in Las Vegas, this is a very trying time for our nation. Puerto Rico sustained 2 hurricanes. We will do the work this week to make sure we get the resources to them, but it will not be the last. This will take time to rebuild, but I know with Jennifer's leadership, she will keep us on track to make sure we do it right. I came back last night after spending yesterday in Sacramento with the Vice President, Mike Pence. We met with the California Office of Emergency Services for a briefing on the devastating fires in California. The day before, we were in Orange County meeting with the fire department with the fires happening there. This is an incredibly serious situation. As of this morning, there were 17 dead and hundreds who are still missing. The fire department right now is spending the majority of their time warning people to get out of the way of the fire. The weather today could even make it worse. Now, during my visit with the Vice President, I know the Vice President talked numerous times with Governor Brown. I spoke with the President on Monday night, and he was talking to Governor Brown as well. And they had the same message. The White House and the American people are with each and every Californian affected, and they offered any assets, federal assets, that needed to assist in this fight. You know, this week, I think the message for Congress is one of prayer, but also action. Tomorrow, we'll take up the supplemental disaster funding to continue the recovery reliefs from the recent hurricanes and the resources for the wildfires out west this summer. It'll take time to control these fires, but we'll begin to rebuild, just as it will take time to rebuild Puerto Rico. This Congress will continue to work with all those who are affected.
Yeah, I want to thank Jennifer for what she's been doing and dealing with. I want to echo what Kevin said. Our thoughts and prayers go to the people of Puerto Rico. We're going to be doing that directly, expressing that concern on Friday. But right now, it's with the people in California who are really suffering from nightmarish wildfires at this moment. These are some of the deadliest wildfires in their history. 122,000 acres are burning. You've seen the scenes on TV. It's haunting. Farms, businesses, livelihoods being destroyed. People have lost their homes. 17 people have lost their lives right now. Many, many more people are missing at this moment. So I just want to commend the firefighters, the first responders who are risking their lives to help people fight these fires and to save people. You know, you see what they're doing. It makes you proud of your country that we've got these men and women who are rushing into harm's way to save people. And it just makes you thankful for who they are and what they do. Now we need to act. We've got the disaster supplemental that the Trump administration requested. They requested this last week. We got that supplemental coming to the floor tomorrow. We posted the bill yesterday. We think it's critical that we pass this legislation this week to give the people in California the support that they need to fight these fires, to help the victims, and also to help the communities still recovering and dealing with the humanitarian problems with the hurricanes. Harvey, Irma, Maria, they've been devastating for Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico. This is a time where our country needs to respond. This is a time where all levels and units of government need to respond. And this is a time where we here in Congress will respond because that is our responsibility. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about...
Who are you with?
Someone somebody with CNN.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about this very public spat that's been going on between a member of your party here in Congress and about Volker and President Trump. What are your thoughts on that, especially in the context of this helping or hurting the...
Yeah. I've had my share too. I think it's just talk it out among yourselves. I think my advice is for these two gentlemen to sit down and just talk through their issues. I think that's the best way to get things done. Rachel. I support Dan Donovan, plain and simple.
Mr. Speaker, should the president ask Steve Bannon to stand down? Should primarying Republicans?
It's a free country. People can do what they want to do. I think the best thing for the Republican Party is to stay unified and focus on our shared agenda. The best way for us to help people and advance our principles is that we stay unified and advance this agenda that we're working on, like tax reform. Anna, congratulations. What mountain was that?
North Cascades, South Early Riverside.
All right. You got it down.
I want to talk about Puerto Rico and what can be done to help not just the immediate cash needs, but also the long-term debt problem. Is Congress planning to revisit that? And also, what did the president mean by wiping out that debt?
I would have to refer you to the White House on that. First of all, as you know, we have the PROMESA board in place. So that is already in place. So there's no need to redo that legislation because that legislation and that board is already in place doing their work. As Jennifer mentioned, like we did in Katrina with New Orleans, when a local unit of government gets its tax base wiped out, there is a loan program to help replace that tax base on an emergency basis. That's something we just added to this bill because their tax base has been wiped out, just like we did with respect to Katrina. We noticed since the supplemental, another hurricane, a smaller one, but also the fires. So that's why we want to make sure that on multi-fronts, hurricanes, local tax bases that are being wiped out, and fires, that we are responding now so that our first responders had the tools they need. We've got 17,000 personnel in Puerto Rico right now between FEMA and the military. And the Disaster Reserve Fund, the Disaster Relief Fund, is typically what finances that. And we've been burning through that pretty fast. That's why we need to put more money in the DERF as soon as possible. One.
Speaker, based on your conversations with the president and the White House, is it your expectation that the
executive branch will handle the loophole concerning pump stocks?
We are still trying to assess why the ATF let this go through in the first place. So what happened on the regulatory side to allow this to occur in the first place? And that is something that we're both trying to assess. And yes, it makes sense that this is a regulation that probably shouldn't have happened in the first place. And we want to understand why is it that they let this go through in the first place. So we think the regulatory fix is the smartest, quickest fix. And I'd frankly like to know how it happened in the first place. Thanks.
All right, guys. So that was the GOP weekly address from this morning, and I wanted to bring that to you guys to see. Representative Steve Scalise, he's back, and he's talking about the natural disasters, of course, being from Louisiana. He mentioned that too. So we've been talking about the wildfires, showed some footage of what's going on in Northern California. But with that, guys, not a ton of other interesting sources coming in. Here's a quick live look at the White House, where we just saw President Trump greet Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife. And with that, we're going to call it, guys, and keep you up to date tomorrow on how everything goes with the Nationals game, of course. Game 4 is tonight. It got postponed from yesterday. And it was really cool to hear from Rob, one of our employees who's out in Chicago, and debating what he's going to be doing for the game tonight. If you guys are going to the game, or if anybody is in D.C. or, I don't know, has plans for tonight, let us know in the comments. And thanks for hanging out with us today on the stream. I know it was kind of a jumble of stuff, and people were kind of passing through. But such is the day, right? It's Wednesday, October 11th, and that's what was going on today. So here's a little look inside our newsroom in the middle of the day. You guys get a live digital look. And a lot of the political stuff that we heard about and was happened earlier this morning. So that a lot of that was tape playback and not necessarily live. But we are here to bring you the best live sources and the breaking news as it happens. So you can subscribe to our channel as well. You can see the sign behind me, guys. Press that red button that says subscribe right below this screen, and you can be one of our subscribers and see when we come up every day. So we'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place, 11:30 on our channel. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you then. All right, take care.